はい。皆さんどうもこんにちは。コンステラセキュリティジャパンの宮村と申します。本日はですね、我々が普段ウォッチしている偽情報ですとか、いわゆる情報作戦について、昨年は非常に大きな年であったと認識をしております。非常に重要な選挙がたくさんありました。そういった観点から、今日はですね、2人の専門家に昨年どんな事象が起こったか、そして今年以降どんなことが起こるのだろうか、そういったことについて、いくつかですね、質問してお答えいただき、最後にですね、2名のこの専門家にですね、ディスカッションしていただこうと、そういった趣旨で行いたいと思います。よろしくお願いいたします。まず最初にですね、今回参加してくれているCyabra社のですね、ダンさんの方から簡単にご本人と、それから会社の紹介をしていただきたいというふうに思います。Okay, Dan, please share your background and a brief introduction of Cyabra, who Cyabra is and what is the business. Okay.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me again. My name is Dan Brahmy. I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO at Cyabra. We've set out to create a company 6 years ago that is going to be distinguishing and filtering the online realm between real, bad, and fake. We see that there's an increasing challenge in terms of bringing trust and authenticity back into everyday decision making when it comes to understanding conversations and narratives online. And we are here to make sense and simplify that, informational chaos that happened on social media platforms, both for large corporations and public sector organizations.
Okay, thank you very much. じゃあ、須山くん、コンセラの件と、それから須山くんの紹介をお願いします。
コンステラセキュリティジャパンの須山と申します。コンステラセキュリティジャパンでシニアアナリストとして働いておりまして、弊社では、このようなですね、いわゆる認知戦ですとか、その情報作戦等の分析というものを、観光庁の皆様ですとか、企業の皆様に提供しております。で、2024年には、様々な選挙がございまして、1月の台湾選挙から、9月、10月あたりにはですね、日本でも衆議院選挙があったと思うんですけれども、日本、それに海外で行われた、このような選挙戦についても、どのような情報作戦、ディスインフォメーションキャンペーンがあったのかというところを分析して、その内容をですね、届けていると。そのような活動を行っております。
わかりました。ありがとうございます。では、進めたいと思います。Okay, the first question. Looking back 2024, we believe that it was a very important year because we saw many elections globally. And last year, what were the most notable trends or any incident you have observed in terms of geopolitical situation and technology advancement is in association with the development of a new type of disinformation campaign?
That's a big question. So I will maybe try and simplify it. So the way that we look at it, I think that battlefield for disinformation has completely shifted and very quickly throughout the last few years and especially in the last year alone. And I also believe that in 2025, we're going to be combating not just the fake news as a title or disinformation as a title, but really I would like to call it potentially entire fake and created from the ground up realities that can be generated in real time by AI, right? A lot of the trends and the threats that we see relate to a very high surge, a very high jump in state-sponsored campaigns, and disinformation threats could be coming from the well-known sources all the way from Russia to China to Iran, because they have been using a lot of AI-driven tools and methodologies to actually amplify and creating more polarization in the content itself. And that's something that we see a lot as a common theme. A lot of those sort of different tactics, from Russian deepfake videos targeting election integrity. We've seen China's very, sort of precision campaigns that were slowly dripping and eventually flooding into social media platforms, SNS, with distracting and distressing and creating question mark kind of content, and all the way to even very extreme and disturbing pornographic material during protests. So we've seen like a very large amount of types and methodologies. of tactics. And then maybe the last example would be related to what we've seen recently is more of the, we like to call it the hashtag hijacking. That escalated a lot. It went up really fast. And it's kind of a situation where you have like bot networks and fake profiles that are really assessing and trying to inflate and propagate political and brand related hashtags to really turn unrelated topics and narratives into crisis. So imagine you are a targeted brand in the food and beverage industry, and you see that you have very large amount of bot networks that are actually trying to jump into the conversation and dragging the brands into a topic that is completely unrelated to food or beverage or streaming platforms or you name it, or automotive industries. So it's very interesting to see also that industry where you're dragging the feet of very large, well-established brands into unrelated topics, and it hurts their reputation, it hurts the reliability of their customer service, and it hurts the bottom line eventually.
Okay, thank you. That's quite interesting. So, Sayama-kun, from the Japan perspective, what do you have observed? And please share your insight with us.
Sure. First, I heard Dan's comment, and it was interesting to compare what is happening in global perspective and Japanese perspective. For example, Dan had mentioned various examples in the enterprise industries. However, in Japan, most of the campaigns and the significant ones that we observed, especially from the fakes and foreign interference, was focused on the political discussions. Obviously, we have several discussion cases of the enterprise, but this flame wouldn't go much deeper into the actual impact for now. So I think this is a very interesting phenomenon that will a little bit illustrate the difference in Japan and, for example, the US, the environment. And speaking about the technology, we also see the development of, for example, AI and its implementation in information operation. We have observed various campaigns from the actors that can be potentially attributed to China, such as Spamflash, distributing some AI-generated content, mostly videos, in some video platforms like YouTube or TikTok that got high engagement, especially from those who are critical to the current ruling party. And also, one of the trends that we have observed in this year is more on the societal perspective that Japan and Japanese people start to rely more on social media in every single part of the discussion, including politics, and started to have some distrust in the, let's say, mainstream or legacy media, such as TV or newspaper, or as say, predominant entities that was basically distributing the narratives. But now the shift of who has more power in information environment is gradually changing, and I believe this can be potentially influencing one of the differences that I just mentioned about the comparison of Japan and the US. Let's say that for now this discussion is being very much limited in the politics, but it's possible with the increased power of the social media and its influence to the people, it's more likely that this kind of influence will expand first in the political field and also will affect in the enterprise field.
Thank you. Understand. Very interesting. Very good contrast between Japan and the global perspective.